Hey, my name's Justin, and I'm with the Young Pastor Podcast. One of the things I want to do with this podcast is help provide resources for young pastors, or not only that, but people who are wanting to see change within their church. I'm no expert by any means, but I do want to take the time to just kind of share with all of you just some of the things that have worked for me. Where do you get started? It's one thing if you've never been you've been a lead pastor forever, or you haven't really had to implement any kind of change, or maybe you just like kind of staying where you're at. But what I want to do is just kind of share just a few things that I have been able to do when it comes to kind of creating momentum that brings about change. What I'm going to do first, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my church. Two, kind of tell you a little bit about my experience. And three, I'm going to offer you one practical tip that you can use this coming Sunday. So, first thing, our church. It is over 100 years old. It was started in 1913. It has had high moments of like 400. It has had low moments of below 100. Anyway, I've been here a year and a half, and as a result of the transition, they were probably running around 200, something like that. And as a result of the transition and bringing on a new pastor, you generally see some shift when it comes to these things. But they were probably running about 160, something like that when I got here, which I think is phenomenal. I had no expectation of like fast growth or anything like that. I was really just hoping to kind of take my time, and I'll explain why here in a second. But so this church, it's over 100 years old. They've had many different seasons. This church, it's a country church. It's located about 20 minutes. It's like right in the center, 20 minutes from Johnson City, Bristol, and Kingsport. So it's called the Tri-City area in Eastern Tennessee. So it's country, it's a retirement community. And so generally speaking, you would think that there's not a whole lot that you could do in getting young families to your church in a retirement community in the middle of, it's in the middle of the country. So anyway, I'm really kind of beside myself that some of these things have worked. So a little bit about me. I've been doing ministry for about 20 years. I've never been a lead pastor up until recently. I've done church planting. I've worked for big churches, small churches, traditional churches. I've been a part of kind of revitalizing some things, but mainly post-COVID type stuff. But anyway, so I have some experience, but it's different when you're in the driver's seat. I realized that about a year and a half ago, when the Lord called me to be here at Blumentville Christian Church. Being in the driver's seat, it really, man, it's so different. You always have, I would do it that way it's different when people look to you. It's different when people complain to you. It's different when the weight just kind of sits on your shoulders. And anyway, so I say that to say that all of this has been new to me as well. I want to share with you just something that has worked. When I came in, our church has two different services. It has a 9:30 traditional. It has an 11 o'clock contemporary. There's those basic struggles and conversations that all of those churches have when they kind of straddle the line like that. There's worry that one's going to go away, or anyway, so, I kind of came into this, kind of knowing that was kind of part of the culture here at our church. And anyway, everything was on paper when I got here. There was a lot of people just kind of doing whatever they wanted, which that's fine. But it stinks when communicating to the rest of the church and trying to help get everybody else on board. So it's really important that everybody know what's going on. So if people are all just kind of doing their own thing, you kind of get a bunch of sideways momentum, So anyway, that's kind of what I stepped foot into. And so, coming in, We had tools, but we didn't know how to use them. There wasn't, there was organization to a certain extent. Like, man, the church was doing really, really well, but there wasn't a central focus or a direction, or, they were maintaining, which is, I think that's healthy. That's good for church to maintain. They weren't losing so much. And, a lot of that has to do with the staff that was here. A lot of that has to do with the elders who were here, and the people. Man, the people here are absolutely amazing. I love them here. But anyway, one thing that I was able to do instantly when I came on, and it was just a natural part of what I've always done on Sunday morning, but I realized that it was brand new to the culture here. Enthusiasm. I think we need to realize that when it comes to enthusiasm, it's a big deal. A lot of pastors, what they do is, especially when they're new, they connect with the people that they want to do. Like, they don't know a whole lot they don't know everybody, so they connect with the people they feel like they should be connecting with. Their focus really isn't greeting new people; it's getting to know the people who are there, which makes sense. It makes complete sense. Not only that, but pastors sometimes they wait in their office until it's time for them to go on stage. They'll, sometimes what they'll do is they'll just they do a lot of different things, But one of the things that I've seen done, and an example that was set to me in the churches that I've been a part of, is that, man, it was a big deal in this kind of little church, man, to be at that front door. Man, we had greeters. Man, I'm telling you, we had greeters, we had all those things, but it was a big deal because I got the opportunity. I got to shake hands. I got to hug people. I was excited to see people, and I didn't realize that was something that a lot of churches don't have from their pastor, because a lot of people, the first several months I was here, they would just go, man, you're so excited on Sunday morning. And my thought is why shouldn't we be? And so I always, to this day, I stand next to the front door. I try not to get caught up in too much conversation with the people who are there, and try to focus on those who are simply coming through the front door and catching those who are new. And I believe wholeheartedly that we as pastors, we have to lead by example. And I think that's setting the tone of enthusiasm for the church on Sunday morning. If we want our people to be excited, we need to be excited. And this is very foundational, and it sounds very simple, and it feels very silly if you're not used to doing it. And I'm telling you, it should not be fake. But I will tell you this, that on Sunday morning, I've come in on Sunday mornings, and I've been told nothing but bad news. I've been told how somebody doesn't like this or that. I've been told how I've dropped the ball on something, and I feel like crap sometimes coming in on Sunday mornings, because for some reason, people think that that's the best time to tell me everything that's gone wrong. But I'm telling you, I flip a switch. When I'm at that front door, I flip a switch. You're not going to see that on me, because all that matters in that moment are people who come through that front door. And here's the other thing too, and I think part of it is understanding that we're not entitled to have people come through the front door. I've worked for churches that have been large and people just come in, and that's great. I've been a part of churches that will lose more people over a weekend than we'll have in attendance on Sunday morning, and it's just not a big deal. But I've also been a part of churches that they're slow growth, and you fight for every person who comes to that front door. And within that, it makes you realize that people who come through your front door are a blessing. They are a blessing from the Lord. And so I should be enthusiastic and excited to see them, willing to give them a hug, setting an example of what it means to greet one another. I mean, this is biblical stuff, guys. And what I've noticed over the last year and a half is that I feel like that culture has really kind of taken off. I really feel like there are people who are excited and enthusiastic, and it's so cool when you finally do have a visitor that comes to the front door. Man, when they see that you're excited and they don't know that you're the pastor, and then you get up on stage and you introduce yourself and you're welcoming them there. I talk with my hands. And you're welcoming them there. there's just this. I also take for granted the fact that people really do value the attention of the lead pastor. And I don't feel like I offer anything special to anyone, but people, they value that. And so it always leaves a really good first impression if, man, they get to meet the fat pastor, the fat pastor. I'm the fat pastor. They get to meet the pastor right as they come through the front door. So I'm telling you, don't neglect the enthusiasm. You can do that this week. And it's all about, again, this series that we're going to be doing, it's all about creating a new culture within a church, creating a culture that helps people to feel welcome, that ultimately leads to growth. Because you know what, we've grown significantly. We've had 20% growth, and we've had, just even the last year, we had 14 new families join the church. And that's not just people visiting, that's people like joining the church. Baptized 9 people. I was really excited about that this last year. We've, we have seen some, our parking lots filling up, I mean, there's just things like that you're just like mind blowing, right? But I think the first step that I took was going enthusiasm. And I think that's contagious. And so I would encourage you, man, be enthusiastic, be that example that you want to see within your congregants. Flip a switch on Sunday morning. Turn on. Don't just turn on when you're at the pulpit, behind the pulpit, man. Turn on at the door. Anyway, next week we'll talk about something else, something simple that you can exercise and think through immediately. It's not going to cost a whole lot of money or anything like that to kind of help create this momentum that creates a culture of growth. So anyway, not an expert. We're still figuring this stuff out. I'm working with you. We are not a huge church by any means, but God's doing some cool stuff here. And I just want to share with you kind of what's worked with me. So I look forward to talking to you guys maybe sometime towards the end of this week. God bless. Thanks for listening to Pastors Podcast, Young Pastors Podcast.